Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Josie's Point of View, where we focus on human interest stories from the Carolinas and beyond. Today it's Monday and it's July the 8th, 2024. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you find the information here to be informative. And if you're a returning viewer, by all means, thank you for coming back. I always say the tide changes so frequently on these YouTube streets. So you always have to acknowledge where your support comes from. And I want you to know I sincerely thank you for your support. Feel free to like and to share this video. And don't forget to subscribe. And our story today takes us to Granite Falls here in North Carolina. Take a look at the headline. And it reads, North Carolina pastor had child porn on the church computer, over 10,000 images on his devices. I'll provide you with a summary here and I'll identify some of my sources for you in the description box. In today's video, I want to highlight another chapter in our series on child sex crimes by church leaders because it appears that child sex abuse in church leaders is now taking center stage. Crimes against children from decades ago are now coming to light, and slowly we're learning about a few of them. And you might recall this one. It was recently in the news, and it had to do with this mega church pastor. His name is Robert Morris, and you might recall he recently resigned from the church after admitting to molesting a child. She was 12 years old at the time, and the abuse went on for a few years. And it was not the people in the church who went public with this crime. I guess they felt because he eventually repented, that made everything okay. But it was the victim herself who, by the way, is not an adult. She eventually came forward and shared her story. And now there's public outcry, but still no formal charges. And there's so many more stories to be told, so many more bad things have been done to children that have not yet been disclosed. But today I'm focusing on my state, the state of North Carolina, and I want to focus on a case that has left me feeling totally disgusted. And our setting today is the New Vision Baptist Fellowship Church located in Granite Falls here in North Carolina. I looked at the church's website and it does not contain much background information. It could have been wiped clean, but I did see that the church was established back to around 1964, and another source indicated it was part of the Southern Baptist Convention. And again, this is basic information that's available in the public domain. And the senior pastor of the New Vision Baptist Fellowship Church was this man here, 52-year-old Ashley De Krause. I should say he is now the former pastor because once this scandal became public, he was fired. But nonetheless, his crimes took place while he was the senior pastor at New Vision Baptist Fellowship, and that's why he's earned a place in our list of videos for this week. Now, the most recent update on this case was in April of 2024, but let's go back a few months to discuss how it all got started. The first public reporting was on November the 7th, 2023, and at that time it was reported that the senior pastor at New Vision Baptist Fellowship, Ashley Krause, it was reported that he had been arrested on child sex crimes. Specifically, the report stated he had been arrested for sexual exploitation of a minor. But behind the scene, investigations had been going on for several months prior to that November arrest. It all started with a tip to federal agencies, and that tip first came from the cloud storage service Dropbox. Someone affiliated with that Dropbox had reported to the authorities that one of its users possessed child pornography. You see, even the cloud Dropbox is watching and paying attention to what's going on. And if you're wondering what a storage Dropbox is, it's a personal space, a space where you can store all of your information, your videos, your pictures, your files, etc. So it's your personal dumping ground. And that's how it initially got started. And in addition to the cloud Dropbox, there was also an alert from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, alerting authorities that a child or children were in danger, and it pertains to child sex crime. So it started with alert from the Dropbox, and I believe that was in April, and it was on November the 3rd that they finally received information from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and authorities felt they had to act because when they looked up the email address, the name, and the IP address, it all linked back to Pastor Krause. Now, keep in mind, it was stated that he had inappropriate contact with a minor. That was the first report. And, they won't tell you a lot of federal authorities won't tell you much about that, especially when it involves a child or children. That there were also reports of him having child pornography as verified by the IP address and his email. And because of that, federal and state officials served him with warrants and they raided his home as well as his church office. So detectives collected information from his home and his church, and they sent that information for forensic examination to determine whether any of that information depicted child exploitation. After all, those were the allegations against the pastor, the man of God, and the results of that church were beyond shocking, I might add. So, in addition to the search warrant of his home and of the church, the pastor was subjected to an interview by law enforcement officials. And during that interview, he admitted to knowingly obtaining and using child pornography. And during their search, they found over 10,000 images depicting child sex abuse. Over 10,000. They were on all of his devices at his home, the church computer, and I'm sure of all of his personal electronic devices as well. But the key here is that it was on the church computer. According to reports, the images depicted very young children, children younger than 10 years old who were engaged in sex acts. Krause also admitted to watching child pornography on the church computer while multitasking and completing church business. I'm not making this up, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly what came out of the investigation. Now, as part of their investigation, the investigators also interviewed employees of the church. They were identified as church officers, and they told investigators that Pastor Krause had started locking the door to his office even when he had to go to the bathroom. They reported not seeing inside of his office for months prior to his arrest. He didn't want anybody to be in there. So he knew exactly what he was doing. None of this was by chance. He knew he was breaking the law. Makes you wonder how long he expected to continue with these crimes, or did he ever expect that he would eventually be found out? Now, it would have been difficult for him to deny that he had ever watched the child pornography at the church, because it was verified that someone at the church using the pastor's account had logged in onto his computer and did, in fact, view the child pornography. So, unless he was able to say that someone else had gained access to his password and logged on to his personal computer in the office that he kept locked all the time, that he was not the one at fault. But he eventually did admit that he did, in fact, view child pornography on the church computer during the day while conducting church business. As I already mentioned, he stated he was multitasking. Now, there's one part of the case that we really don't have all of the information on, and that has to do with the abuse of children. But we know that either a child or children was involved because he was charged with 4 counts of second-degree sexual exploitation of a minor, as well as possession of child pornography, and he received a bond of $1 million. Now, when he was initially charged last November, investigators did say there was a possibility that additional charges would be forthcoming because he was just charged on the information that was readily available. But I'm sure they knew that once they had done a completed their investigation, they may find additional things. And of course, this past April of 2024, we learned that indeed additional charges had been added. In April, we learned he was now facing 4 additional counts of third-degree sexual exploitation of a minor, charges pertaining to the receipt of child pornography, and of course, he's facing federal charges about reviewing pornography across state, receiving pornography across state and international line. And as I already mentioned, he's no longer the senior pastor at New Vision Baptist Fellowship, but I still see information online with him listed as the senior pastor. But he's no longer affiliated with that organization. In fact, Pastor Krause sits in jail with a $1 million bond as he awaits his trial. No date has been identified. And that's all I have for you right now, but feel free to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about this video, and by all means, feel free to like it and to share it. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that red subscribe button. It's on the bottom right hand corner of your screen. And if you click on the bell that looks like just like this one, that's the notification bell. If you click on that notification bell, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.